commentary of the 1000 GM Grandmaster and International Master Norm Classic, live from Hollywood, California. We have some great games going on this afternoon, so let's jump right in and take a look at what we have going. First event that we have here is the Grandmaster Norm event. We'll take a look at that first. If I don't mess up my sizing by accident. Hold on. Okay. Whoops. Sorry. And let's take a look at how these games are all progressing from round 5. I think all of the games are running. Let's check. There's one draw, so we'll take a look at that draw as well. So we cut it just in time. We're gonna dive deep into these games. Definitely jump in the chat. Ask any questions that you like. If you're a really strong player, definitely jump in and give us some of your moves that you think are the best moves here. And, of course, like, subscribe, and donate to let me say that again. Like, subscribe, and donate to 1000 GM, the 501c3, bringing all of this to you and bringing these amazing players in this events together. All the Norm Seekers play for free, so they definitely need your support. So all of you chess fans out there, donate as much as you can. All of you parents, this could not be possible without 1000 GM. So if you have the extra income that you could donate, it is tax deductible. We're a 501c3, so just jump in there and be generous, please. So, but let's take a look at the games now. We have Grandmaster Alexei Sorokin versus Robert Schlatenko. Sorokin's white and Schlatenko's black. And we have a complex middle game here. It looks like it was a Queen's Gambit. So for all you Queen's Gambit fans out there, I'll tap right through this so you can see it. Oops. Go back to the beginning. And here is the beginning of this game. A very simple classical Queen's Gambit system. And white goes for the IQP here. And then black allows the structural change. I think this slightly benefits white. Interesting taking on f6 here. I don't know exactly what this is all about. I would assume that you'd want to maintain the bishop pair, but maybe this bishop doesn't really want to have to be chased back to h2. So white opts to trade it off. And now we have the current position coming up with white building some pressure on the queen side. On the king side, I'm sorry. So white is building some pressure on the king side here and plays this very interesting move, h4. Wow. Wow. I wonder if this was missed by Robert. The point is, if you say move the bishop, there's rook takes g6. And that looks pretty crushing. Rook takes g6, queen takes g6 check. There is king f8 or king h8. They both look very dangerous. One of the reasons is that on any attempt to run to e7, this rook will have some powerful threats on the bishop. But this rook over here is guarding on the rook on a6. I didn't even pay attention to that earlier. So there's a lot happening here. And yeah, I mean, there's a ton happening. I don't really know. Let me I'm just doing a real quick readjustment of my mic to get it into the right spot so you can hear me the best. Ha! I almost knocked over the whole table. Never readjust equipment live, folks. That's the lesson you're learning from Coach Q here. And, oh yeah, if I didn't introduce myself, I'm Coach Q. I love chess. I play chess. I do lots of journalism. We've done tons of interviews with these strong players, both Sorokin and Schlatenko. We have great interviews on the 1000 GM YouTube. Go check them out. I'm very, very, very interested to see how Robert is going to respond to this. I don't think he would play bishop g5 if he didn't see h4. But it might have been a surprise. Oh, wow. Sorokin took... Wow, I didn't see how much time Sorokin took there. He took almost 30 minutes to make his decision here. 23, actually. So, not quite 30, but 23 minutes to make his decision here. So, clearly was calculating all the variations. And same thing, if bishop takes h4, there's rook takes g6 check. And I think it's just very hard to analyze as a human. That's why Sorokin is actually playing that, and why he took the time to do that. Let's see if the Silicon Monster likes it. The Monster said it was the very best move. It was forced. And apparently bishop f4 that we looked at, or bishop h4, are the best moves. So this might be a forced draw here. I'm thinking this is basically white offering a forced draw. Black has neutralized all the threats, and white is just offering it. And it doesn't look like black can say no. Welcome if you just joined us. This is Coach Q, broadcasting live from Hollywood, California, the 1000 GM games. And next game we have Kostya took a draw against Segmed. Kostya escaped yesterday. He's -2 right now. He lost rounds 2 and 3, and he escaped. Really nice escape. Go back and take a look at a very nice escape with an under promotion. Beautiful one. So let's just see this game real quick. We have a Queen's Gambit, a kind of late version of it, where you could play g3 and go into the Catalan type structures, but Kostya opts for knight c3. This is a very solid system. I think this is not theoretically challenging these days, but Kostya was probably looking to just get a solid game because he's had a bumpy tournament, to say the least, so far. So let's see what happens here. So we have a lot of pressure on the queen side, and minor pieces are trading, so only 2 minor pieces left. Yeah, and so like I said, this is not theoretically challenging. It looks like Kostya just wanted to play a very solid game. And black is totally fine here. Queen b2 is being called an inaccuracy by Lichess's automated system. I don't know exactly why. It doesn't look that bad to me at all. Not a big problem, though. Clearly, as Kostya is able to coast down to a simple draw here. And after bishop d8, it looks like black offered a draw.
I'm not getting much, and the computer confirms that this position is drawn. Okay, let's look at the third game of today. We're moving on to Grandmaster Armen Mikhailian and International Master Victor Matavish. You can look at that. But, so this is actually a pretty important game, especially for Matavishin, who will have a chance at a norm. So if he can play smart and hold this position, pressure on the king side, and a tiny bit of pressure on the queen side, but it's all covered by black at the moment. So I don't see massive, and I think white has all the play with moves like rook b3 potentials. Maybe this knight on d2 is not so great. Can it maneuver? I think so. And obviously black's point of contact. We always want to try with our own brain moves first.
And we have, oh wow, we have a wild position happening. Wild position happening. Andy Woodward is not failing rooks and is pressing. Black certainly looks like they're pressing here. Griffith is playing white, and I am elect Woodward. It says FM, but I believe he's gained all of his norms, so that shouldn't be a problem. And it's all right. That's all right. Our broadcast studio is right next to the kitchen, so we might hear a few kitchen sounds, but don't feel too bad. What you should really do in that case is donate to 1000 GM, the 501c3, bringing all this to you. You know, parents out there, you really, if you have the extra money, support this organization, They're bringing these events to the norm seekers for free. All of your students will play these events for free, but only if it can survive and it can live off of donations from viewers like you and from amazing parents like you. You know, we have to thank all the parents out there for supporting all of the students, all these amazing students. I mean, well, it looks like Andy could play rook f1, check. Queen takes f1, knight takes f1, king takes f1, rook takes c2. How is that not just winning immediately? That looks like it's winning immediately. Am I missing something? I mean, this looks resignable for white. How did this happen? Let's go back a little bit, just because it's interesting. And so it looks like Andy had pressure along this F file, just like absolutely crushing pressure. And white had to give the queen in order to just save the game, basically, because that pressure on the F file is terrible. But it doesn't look like... Okay, I'll tell you what I think Andy is thinking about here. And I know I stopped myself mid-sentence because I kind of see what Andy is going for. He could have played rook f1 just back here. Rook f1 check. But that wouldn't even, get the rook into the second rank. So I think rook e2 is a really nice move, actually. And white just looked like it didn't have anything. Because this queen couldn't leave the back rank or else there would be a mate. So like queen d3, rook f1. Is Andy looking for a mate? Because, I mean, white can resign after rook f1. Queen f1, knight f1. I mean, king f1, rook takes c2. I think white can resign. Because this bishop can be activated by g6. Maybe since this pawn takes, at least that they're claiming as compensation. After something like, and the knight goes back to c4 if you're, and I don't think the pawn is fast enough. So g6, a4, bishop g7, and the bishop is forced to trade, take, king takes, and I think the rook is enough guard. The rook is strong enough to stop the pawns from promoting. I don't know if that assessment is wrong, but okay, let's turn on the silicon monster now. -3, crushing position. It looks like the very best move is rook f3. That was a consideration in my head. I didn't say it out loud, but I considered that as an option, but why not rook f1 right away? So apparently this is just dead equal, which is crazy. Oh, no, so... Wait, it's dead equal because of... Okay, it's not dead equal. White team is better here. That is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. I mean, why? How? Why? Knight c6, g6, and now the pawn is too fast. Wow. Okay, so my assessment that the pawn is not too fast is wrong. And the pawn is too fast. Just b4 here. And this would be winning. Interesting. Okay, so that is very in the back of my head that said, are the A and B pawn fast enough? And I didn't take enough time to assess that. So my apologies for the bad analysis. And the A and B pawn would be fast enough, which is wild, honestly. But it does make sense because they get to a5 and b5 pretty quickly. So rook f3 is the very best move here. Let's see if Andy will play it. Let's hope. I want to see it. Hold on, I have to refresh now. Sorry about that. What? Where'd it go? There it is, sorry. Rook f3 was played by Andy. Of course he's going to find it. He's going to see that rook f1 doesn't work. Wow. That's incredible. This kid is 10 years old Absolutely insane. 2486. He told me that he thinks he's overrated. But I think that even if he's slightly overrated, he's going to catch up with his skills quickly. At 10 years old and he's playing in events like this, there's you know, there's all the chances in the world that he's going to become a grandmaster very quickly. Okay, let's go to the next game. Oh, it just ended. Oh, we missed the end. Wow. Okay, let's take a quick tab through this game. It just ended right now. So we have I Am Stearman versus FM Sethurman. Sethurman has been playing a very good event, but I Am Stearman looks like he came prepared. And let's see the variation. Okay, the Najdorf. Yes, of course. We saw this exact variation yesterday, the Knight BD7 after Bishop G5, so that must be in vogue. So Bishop C4, Queen B6. Bishop drops back to B3 to block the Queen. Understandable. And White takes on F6. And proceeds to castle queenside. Very nice. Alright, just tabbing through to see what we get here. A5. Okay, so White is gaining small advantage here, but A5 is the first like big mistake. Computer's just saying trade. Bishop takes A4. That's logical. So Queen goes back to E1. It's a small mistake. But White is getting all the pressure here. So even though, you know, Stearman might have made a tiny mistake, yeah, now here comes a mate or a queen trap. Queen trap and then the mate is following. This pawn is pretty powerful. Okay, so it looks like Seth Thurman was just fully outplayed in this opening. Really interesting game. I'd like to see some analysis from Grandmaster Akobian. If you haven't checked it out, Grandmaster Akobian has been doing tons of videos. I mean, like, stacks of them. And not enough people have been seeing them, so go check it out. If you're watching this live, check it out. Like, just, you know, pop up the YouTube window, put it in a separate one, bookmark it, and see all the videos that he's doing. It's on the 1000 GM YouTube. So just type in 1000 GM, a video will pop up of me interviewing some amazing player, and then you can watch the interviews, you can watch the analysis from Grandmaster Akobian. He's been analyzing the St. Louis event, so pretty good stuff there. Okay, rook c1, and, well, there it goes. There goes the queen. Queen's pinned, and, of course, Seth Thurman is a sporting competitor, knows he's going to lose here, and resigns, which is the fair thing to do. You can play to the end. I'm not an advocate of, oh, you need to resign and to respect and blah, blah, blah. No, you can play to the end if you want. One of the competitors in this tournament, Kostya Kavutsky, he always plays on for the fans. I love it. I love that he plays on for the fans. It's fantastic. So here, yeah, painful way to lose though. And where does that put Stearman though? Let's pop up the standings real quick. I'm gonna hit the back button and grab the standings for everybody. Okay, let's look at the standings. Stearman is just recovering, so he needed that win. He was pretty much on the bottom of the standings. He had 1 point out of 4, so now he has 2 out of 5. He's only on -1 now. Looks like he had lost a few games earlier, so that's good for him. Not good for Seth Thurman, who was seeking norms, so he definitely needed a draw here. Now he has 2 out of 5. That puts him on the back foot for norms, so hopefully he can come back. And that's the games right now. Before we move on to the International Masters section, let's check the Andy Woodward game just real quick. What happened since we last saw? So rook F3, and then Bishop B6. From D4 to B6. trying to see what the main threat is here. I'm having a little bit of trouble. Is it the knight coming around? Is it the knight going to e4? I assume it's some kind of knight move so you can get this rook in. If you can get this rook in, check, and then to e2, the king is going to be pretty close to busted. So maybe it's like knight f5 to threaten... Yeah, maybe it's either f4 or f5 because you want to be able to check the king either here or here. So I'm not sure what the very best square is. Okay, all of them are winning. So Andy has a buffet of choices. So knight h5 is absolutely tip-top. Knight f5 is another option, and knight e4. So every single move that I was thinking about is a possibility. So that's great. So our brain is still working, and we're still commentating here on this really nice game. Let's see if Andy can do it. He bounced back. He lost last night, so this will be a nice bounce-back game for him as black against a strong international master. Okay, time to move on to the 1000 GM International Master Norm event. These are two separate norm events happening simultaneously. Amazing. All of your favorite players, 20 of your favorite players are playing this event. So first we have International Master Aaron Grabinski and Grandmaster Ricard Betoon. And we have a position with lots of pieces. So white has a bishop pair, first thing to notice. Pawns are equal, but white has a majority on the queen side, which could affect endgame play. Welcome if you're just joining us. This is Coach Q here. I'm reporting on and commentating on the 1000 GM Hollywood Norm Classic. And right now we're looking at the International Master section. International Master Norm section, that is, because of course there's Grandmasters playing in this event as well. And we have one of the top games of the round right now with Grabinski trying to beat Betoon. I don't think white has an advantage here. It looks like black is doing just fine. But what is this knight doing? That is the question. This knight does seem very awkward. Especially with any jumps from the c2 knight, will open up an attack on it. But it's not that misplaced. It's aiming at some nice squares here and controlling a lot of territory, so it's not a bad piece. But there's some pressure on a6, so there's potential trades on c5 to win the a6 pawn. That could be part of white's idea here. It's black's move right now. If you notice the times, Grabinski has 27 minutes and Betoon is ticked to under 9 minutes. So some time pressure happening in this game. So let's move on and we'll see what's happening in the other games, and then we'll come back. We have here FIDE Master Mighty and International Master Ostrovsky. Go check out the interviews I got of these guys. They gave me some very, very nice interviews. I loved them. They were really, really gracious, and they told us a lot about their lives and playing style. So go check it out on the 1000 GM YouTube. If you're watching on there, if you're watching on Twitch, you can always go to the 1000 GM YouTube. Hit that like and subscribe button whenever you do. If you want to make a donation to 1000 GM right now, you can do that right on my Twitch channel, SoCalQ, twitch.tv/SoCalQ, and you can make a donation to them right now. You could donate $1,000 right now, and that would go straight to all these players that are playing. None of these players are paying a single dime of entry fee. All the Grandmasters are paid, all of the norm providers, that is, and then all of the norm seekers are paying nothing. So that's something amazing that 1000 GM is trying to do, and trying to, just get going in the chess world, because, it costs like $800 to enter these tournaments usually, and that doesn't account any travel costs, so thousands of dollars per event. And some of the players have told me that they've spent tens of thousands of dollars, if not six figures, $100,000 plus, on trying to obtain their norms. So it costs a lot of money. So we appreciate any donation that you can give to 1000 GM. 501c3, by the way, fully tax deductible. So definitely get in there and send in a donation. We would really greatly appreciate that. And if I miss it, I'm sorry. I will definitely announce it on the next stream if I miss it somehow on this one. But I think I should be able to see it. Anyway, let's move on and get going with this game. Let's see. What is exactly happening? White has this backward D pawn. But White also has the bishop pair and the space advantage for sure. Controlling the center here. Black has some pressure on the H-file, and I assume Black is looking to play C5 at some point. The times are relatively even, 17 minutes to 13 minutes, so no big difference there. What else is happening? Yeah, I think C5 break is something possible here. But do you really want to trade off the D pawn? I'm not exactly sure. Welcome if you're just joining us. This is Coach Q. We're analyzing the 1000 GM Hollywood Norm Classics from sunny Los Angeles and from the capital of entertainment of the world, bringing you some really interesting chess games, some top level players. And I'm not exactly sure what's happening in this position, so let's double check with the Silicon Monster. So they're saying that White has a pretty strong advantage here, plus 1.8, and ticking up as the depth gets greater. I'm sorry, I see myself breaking up, so I want to make sure that we're not lagging. Testing. We're chugging along a little bit here. So let me double check. Oh. Gotta plug in the computer. I apologize. Everybody. If you're just joining us, sorry for the technical difficulties. You have to plug in your computer to make sure it runs smoothly. Okay, we're back. I apologize for that short delay, but we're going here. We're still going. We did not die. Computer is still alive, and the engine is saying that White team has a significant advantage here and should take on b6. I don't think that's an apparent move. What is the idea? Bishop takes b6, queen takes b6, f5. Blast it open. Mr. Stockfish, the Silicon Monster, actually the Lichess's neural net. Lichess, by the way, is a 501c3 as well, a non-profit. We appreciate that. Thank you, Lichess, for hosting our games. And that's pretty crazy. Take the knight, trade the bishop for the knight, and play f5. And this starts to get dicey for White, right? So G takes. Man, that's crazy. If Mighty finds this, he deserves a norm. So G takes f5, G takes f5, and then Black should take on f5 again. Okay, he did not play it. So yeah, I mean, he played Rook D to f1. So what he missed that the engine was pointing out is that you can just sack that pawn. You could take this knight, get rid of this potential attacker with knight c4 to attack the queen and things like that, and play f5 right away. Take. Let him take the pawn. Take, and then play something like queen f4 or something of the sort. Okay, that's really interesting. Ostrovsky has 12 minutes left as well, so it's a close game. Let's go to the next one. We have, wow, a really mixed up position here. FIDE Master Gedjalvik and Candidate Master Rushan Mahajan. Rushan, by the way, if you don't know him, did a very good job helping to organize these events and spent a lot of time and effort to make sure that it was successful, contacting players and getting everything going. So we appreciate Rushan. Thank you for your work. And by the way, he owns his own company at 16. So I believe it's I don't want to get it wrong. I apologize, Rushan, that I don't have it right now. But just go Google him, Rushan Muhajin, and you'll find his company. He's got a nice one going. So yeah, I mean, let's see what he's doing here. Looks crazy. It looks crazy with this queen on e2. I don't exactly know what's going on there. So it's white's move. Optically speaking, black looks better because black has pressure here and some pressure here. And white just sacrificing the exchange right now. Interesting. That to me does not look good. Yeah, it's not good. The engine is saying that this is not good for white. So a mistake by the FIDE master here, giving Rushan a nice chance. So the best move was queen e3. Just trade. Yeah, and then everything would be held together. This would be guarded, this would be traded, and then it'd be a rook ending with one minor weakness, but not a really huge one. But this exchange sack is dubious. And this is going to give Rushan a nice chance at the W. So now he has a pretty significant advantage, actually. But what is the very best move? Is it to defend the b-pawn? It's just something simple like rook c7. And then just go for queen c4 after. If you just joined us, welcome. I'm Coach Q. I'm a chess expert and a commentator and journalist extraordinaire. I do everything in the chess world, and I know everyone that you can think of. No, that's not entirely true, but I know a lot of people, and I'm glad to be here commentating for 1000 GM, the non-profit that's bringing you this beautiful event, Hollywood Norm Classic. Right now, we're in the International Masters section. We're looking at that section with, I believe Mahajin is one of the lowest rated players in this section, so any score is good for him. So we'll see. He's definitely winning in this position now. I believe white has made a mistake by trying to sack the exchange. So we'll come back. Let's look at this next one. We have FIDE Master Singhania. Hi, Stuart. Good afternoon to you as well. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate that. Stuart is one of the strong blitz players and just overall pretty strong player, I would say, and who's working with one of our sister organizations, Evergreen Chess. Go check them out. Evergreen Chess, go check them out. They do a lot of fun stuff, a lot of like banter blitz and really interesting stuff. So go check them out, Evergreen Chess. They're our sister channel. So thanks for joining us, Stuart. Right now, we're looking at this game from the International Masters section of the 1000 GM Hollywood Norm Classics. So what Singhania versus Lee. And what is happening here? 6 pawns to 6 pawns. And same minor pieces and same amount of rooks. This rook is not being used yet, but it can slide over very quickly, either to d1 or even e1. Is there a threat from black here? Maybe this move is a threat? f4 looks like a threat here. Yeah, f4 is a pretty big threat here. So Stuart says that he needs to step it up. So Stuart, go look at some of those Grandmaster Jacobian analysis that Reddy and Grandmaster Kobe have been doing. They've analyzed some of the games from the St. Louis event. Those are good ones to learn from. He's dropping knowledge there. So go check out some of that knowledge. So here, f4 looks like a threat, but it could have been played last move. So f5, queen c2. Why wasn't it played here? Oh, knight takes e6. Okay. So knight takes e6 was a threat, so black had to play rook d6. And f4 still is a big threat here. So this is something that white has to do something about. There are two options, f3 or moving the rook back to d1. I do not like moving the rook back to d1 because, well, your a rook gets kind of boxed out of the position. You'd love this a rook to come onto d-file and join the party. So party rooks, party on rooks. Is there a way to move the bishop? Probably not. That's probably garbage. Is there a way to move the knight so that the bishop can move as well? So maybe knight f3. That is a pretty logical move because that hits the bishop on e5. Rook c1. He just ignores it? What? What am I missing? f4. Bishop's trapped. I'm confused. So rook c1. Okay, I gotta ask the Silicon Monster. He just absolutely blundered. I am correct. f4 is absolutely the best move. What? I mean, I'm not playing the game, but, I mean, so less pressure, obviously. But how is f4 not to be considered? FIDE Masters, Singhania, you had 12 minutes. Oh, man. Honestly, I'm a little disappointed to see that move. What was the best move? f3. Just simply play f3. Yeah. f3 was the right move, and white keeps equality. Just gives the bishop some squares to move. Sometimes chess is not that hard. You have to play this simple move that keeps your position together. And, I mean, maybe white is just trying to press for too much here. They might have been winning earlier in the game, I'm wondering. That could be possible. Man, I'm very surprised. f4, that's crushing. So, let's go to the next game. Next game, we have Austin May, FIDE Master Austin May, and FIDE Master Ru Yang Yan. So, what is happening here? This is a weird-looking pawn. That's my first expert commentary. Strange-looking pawn. It can be taken almost immediately, so Austin May is thinking about that. 17 minutes to 10 minutes, so time is not that different. Stuart asks, can he get 2 pawns for the piece? Yeah, let me go back and look. That's a good question. Can white get 2 pawns for the piece there? f4. Is he maybe trying to win the e6 pawn also? Maybe. But even 2 pawns for the piece here is not good because there's 4 pawns on the board and white will have 6. And no clear central majority or anything. It's possible, but I don't think so. It looks really bad. f4. I mean, the computer is saying -4, which means it's just over. So, strange. Very strange happenings. Even strong players blunder, though, so you never know. Back to this game, the May Yan game. I got a nice interview with Austin May as well, so go check that one out. And certainly hit the like and subscribe button because we appreciate that. And if you have the extra cash, give it to the 501c3 1000 GM. We appreciate any donations to get these tournaments going and see these weird, crazy moves. So, how many pawns does white have? 2, 4, 5, 6, 2, 4, 2, 4, 6, 7, counting. This pawn is hanging on g4. This position is very wild, so I don't know what's going on yet. It's going to take me a few seconds to fully analyze this position. So white can take on g4. I mean, h takes is also a possibility to do something weird like sack the pawn on g5. That's interesting. This pawn is hanging, though, and maybe it's not even possible. Like h takes g4, knight takes e6 and then g5 is covered. So that looks dubious. So f takes g4. Yeah, I think white is significantly worse here. But maybe these rooks aren't very good either. And the d6 pawn is bad. So I would say this is dynamically bad for both sides, but I'm going to give white the worst side. I would rather be playing black here probably. But maybe not. Maybe there's ways to open the g file and attack the king. This is a really complex position. And welcome if you just joined us. This is Coach Q. I'm a chess expert, and I am a big fan of this Hollywood Norm Classic, live from Los Angeles, California. Sunny Los Angeles, one of the best places to be in the entire world. So yeah, we're looking at this Austin May game versus FIDE Master Ruyang Yan. They're both FIDE Masters, so about the same level. Let's double check. This is dynamically equal. The Stockfish, the Silicon Monster, is saying zeros. Like, as it thinks a little bit longer, it's like negative 0.4. Which maybe is pointing out the practical elements of the position. But I don't think the computer is even thinking practically. I don't think it's possible for the computer to think practically. So white has just played bishop takes c5. I am not sure if I would trade that bishop. But that does make sense with the fact that the knight could have come over and guard and provided some nice support on the king side. So this is an interesting idea. I don't know if it's best though. No, the computer didn't like it very much. And now Jan takes back with the b pawn. And I see why that's an effective move, because at some point maybe you can play for the open file and attack b2, and this bishop could come alive with some sort of pawn sacrifice. So, and then I think the f1 bishop is poorly placed. It's just not a good piece. It's going to be able to jump in, but I think maybe black can even play g5 here at some point. And I mean, this position is very complex though, so I would say any results are possible here. Okay, so we've gone through all of the games in the International Master section. Let's go back and take a look at the GM section again. Robert and Sorokin took a draw. So let's see the final position. We ended looking at this here. Okay, yeah. So this was an interesting sequence. It's worth reviewing again. Here, Sorokin just basically offers a draw with h4. Why? Because of this rook sack. Rook takes g6, pawn takes g6, queen takes g6 check, and then a nice perpetual. Queen takes h6, king g8, queen g6, and back and forth they go on the seesaw, the teeter-totter, the kids back in the schoolyard having some fun, and they take the draw. So, not a bad draw there, and it's very good for Robert actually as black to draw a good grandmaster like Sorokin. So let's go to the next game. And we saw this game. We saw this draw here. So 2 draws. And now we have Mikhailian versus Matavishin. And where were we earlier in this game? Something like this, where there was dynamic equality. Somehow white won a pawn. Oh, sacked in exchange to win a pawn. Interesting. I'm not exactly sure what's correct there, but let's look at this current position because it is interesting. White has a bucket of pawns, 5 versus 3, but I would probably take white here, honestly. There are more chances to blunder in this position for black than there are for white. Yeah, and actually the computer confirms that the rook sack is good. So white has a slight advantage here. I think it might be just hard to hold this f pawn. And white has this pass pawn. So that certainly makes sense from a just a practical perspective and a objective perspective as well. So, it is very, very interesting. I am not exactly sure what's going on, so we'll just have to see how the players play it. Rook A7 was played last. White's move. 14 minutes left on the clock. Nice position. Let's go to the next game. So there's only 2 games left here in the Grandmasters section. So we'll stick here for a second. And this one's about over, by the way. So Andy did go for knight e4, which was the least, gave him the smallest computery advantage, but still very good practical chances for the win. He has a strong advantage here. Check. So knight f4, rook g4, knight g2. Ooh, I don't even know if bringing the knight back here makes any sense. So knight g3 check and king h2, and now rook f1. Now, yeah, I mean, it's just a queen for a rook now. It looks like game over. Yeah, completely game over. So this is game over. Andy Woodward is going to bounce back from the round 4 loss from yesterday and get the win here. Love it. Love it. 10-year-old Andy Woodward, by the way. International Master Elect. He just has to have the title confirmed by FIDE. And International Master Griffith is in some big trouble here. Some serious hot water. And we're probably going to see a resignation very soon here. Because, let's just say you want to save the queen. Well, oops. Rook h1, checkmate. Everything's guarded. Let me put some colors in. Blue knight can't be taken. And the king cannot move to h3 because of the rook on h1. So that would be game over right there. Did Matavician move? No, they're still thinking here. Let's go back to the International Master section, since they're all thinking in those games. Okay, we have a few moves in this position. So after taking on c5, b takes c5, and then bishop d3, that was a logical move, very logical. Queen takes e6, yes, that makes sense. Pawn takes g4, bishop g5, bishop g5. Okay, yeah, so the queen can guard, I see. Makes sense. Queen is guarding g6 now. Bishop e4. Wow. Oh, I love this redirection of the bishop. Look at this. Bishop g5, e3. Oh, man. That is pretty close to crushing, frankly. The computer confirms -2. Like, this rook has to move out of here. So you have to play rook d3 here. Or else that rook's just getting trapped. And, well, then you're just lost completely. But even when the bishop comes to d4, there's going to be so much pressure here. You can't even play anything like b3. Because then there's a4. And, yeah, this is starting to look really bad for FIDE Master Jan. Black is in big trouble. Nice game happening. Very exciting games today. 13 minutes to 9 minutes. Okay, and all of these games are still going in the International Masters section. Wow. Okay, let's go to the next one. I guess we're going up from the bottom. So FIDE Master is Singhania versus Lee. And yeah, and Singhania just lets the bishop get trapped. So it's very confusing. Like, wow, and black blundered though. Okay, so what is going on here? So rook d6, rook c1, f4, right? And now c5. So c5 is wrong here. Or c5 is not wrong, but black should be losing a piece, but what do you do about the rook first? Do you do anything about the rook? You just take? No, you play... Oh, I see why. I see why he didn't find the correct move. The correct move is literally to move the queen somewhere and to have this pin. You're not in a rush to take the e3 bishop because then he can't take the rook because the queen would get lost. And they would get 2 rooks, but then you would also get a bishop. So a queen and a bishop for 2 rooks is not a good trade. Welcome if you're just joining us. This is 1000 GM, the Hollywood Norm Classic from sunny Los Angeles, sponsored by 1000 GM, the amazing 501c3. Give a subscribe here. So let's see what. So Queen F7 was wrong, according to the engine. Man, it's so hard to tell why though. Like, with my own human brain, I don't know why Queen F7 is wrong. What's the difference? Pawn D6, Rook C2, Rook C2. Pawn E3, Pawn E3. Oh, I see the difference. I think I see the difference. This knight is going to be able to move and take the... Wait, no? This is super hard. This is a really challenging position, everybody. But otherwise, I'm going to ask a little help from our Silicon friend with... Yeah, so I guess the point is that in the other lines, if the queen stayed in contact with d6, you can win that pawn back. But in this line, so I'll just look at it real quick. Take, 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 take. I'm confused. No, that's winning for black. Take. Oh, and then knight c2. And then after fe3, there's a crazy good in-between move, d7. I can guarantee that none of the players saw that. Especially with... they're not showing the time right now, but after I refresh, they will. They only have like 10, 12 minutes left. So they will see the time. Wow, that's a really nice move, this d7. Queen can't take, the rook is guarding, and if you take the rook, the queen grows back with check, and you're down in exchange. The rook can go to d1 after the king is saved. So, wow, what a really nice sequence. That's very tough to calculate, though. So you had to go to b8 or d7 here. I mean, back here, I was very surprised that white allowed this move, f4. Because f3 is simple. f3 is a simple way to save the bishop. But they really were trying for a win here. White is trying for a win and really going for it. And playing an inferior line to go for the win. So really interesting play here. Oh, wait, let's refresh. Let's see where we are in the actual game. That was this game. So white is still thinking here. Let's see if they'll find it. If they'll find pawn d6, rook c2, rook c2, or sorry, knight c2. That's even hard to see. Knight c2, pawn takes e3, and then knight takes e3. Or not even knight takes e3, pawn d7. Man, that's tough to even calculate. Pawn d6, again. Rook c2, knight c2, pawn takes e3, and then d7. That's just an amazing move. d7 is an amazing move right here. If you don't respect how amazing that is, you better pull out the board, go to Lichess right now, go to broadcast, and play around with it. It's pretty incredible. Okay, so white does take on d6. Very exciting. Very, very exciting. We will see this queen being taken. Yeah, I know. Wow, says Stuart. Yeah, 100% wow. Incredible variation. Oh, but white blunders immediately. Oh, no! Disaster! They moved almost immediately here and blunder. Wow. That is so sad. I thought they saw everything. Man, I mean, it's so hard to come up with these moves under pressure like this. Look at FIDE Master Singhania. 4 minutes and 40 seconds on the clock. For the amateur that hasn't played this kind of event, this is such high pressure. A big part of your career. Like Boston Mike says, big. I can't even do it. But it's a huge part of their career, and when you're you're staring down the barrel of your bishop being lost, you might not stay calm. You might lose your cool and miscalculate, and it looks like white did. And white is just dropping a piece now. I mean, it does take accurate calculation. Pawn e3, rook c8 check, knight f8. But I don't see how they're saving this pawn here. Let's just double check that works, just to make sure. Yeah, knight f8 is best. And if something like rook c7, the queen can take on f2. Oops, this is causing big problems. Yeah, so that's really bad for white. And they missed the best sequence, which was knight takes c2, pawn e3, d7. Incredible exclamation mark. Even a FIDE master couldn't find that. So chess is hard, everybody. That's what you have to know. Chess is hard. Okay, let's go to the next game. We spent a lot of time there, and it looks like white has blundered. So let's move on. The FIDE master Gedjevic versus candidate master Mahajan. I don't know. Oh, this game has crossover with Coffee Chat. Or, oops, wrong word. Bad word, I said. With Evergreen Chess, has crossover with Evergreen Chess because Rushan came and played a bunch of games. So go on Evergreen Chess and see those awesome games that Rushan played. They're pretty awesome. And, wow, let's see what he can do here. He's up in exchange, and white is trying to make it as complicated as possible, though. Rushan only has 4 minutes left, by the way, and Gedjevic has 9 minutes. So there is a time disparity here. It's not a huge gap because of the 30-second increment. You know, they don't just run out of time in these high-level games. They give them some extra time. And it looks like Rushan has just played Queen e2. And the ball is in the FIDE Masters court. What do they play? Not exactly sure. Not exactly sure. What do they play? So, white could take on f5, but then that would be a blunder. Oh, would it be a blunder? Queen e1 check, king h2. I don't fully understand why Rushan just gave up the f-pawn here. I would try to keep this extra f-pawn. Maybe the point is if queen f5, there is d4. That's actually a nice move here. Queen f5, d4. I think that works. Yeah. That's actually the sequence the engine is suggesting. Queen f5, d4. And that would be winning for black still. Not without risk, because this e6 pawn is dangerous and white's pieces are active. So I wouldn't say it's like it's an easy win, but Rushan has a nice shot here at getting a nice upset. Okay, let's go to the next game. Looks like this game has ended. Let's figure out where we were. Okay, so this game between FIDE Master Mighty and International Master Ostrowski. After Bishop A5, Queen B7, Mighty missed a really nice pawn sack here with Bishop takes B6 first, Queen B6, and then F5. GF, GF, and then even if they play this move, I believe the Queen is swooping in, if I remember the analysis. And then EF5, yeah, Queen F4. So then the Queen will come to F4 and put a lot of pressure here with potential pawn E6, more sacrifices there. So that's pretty intense. But the game just petered out to a draw after Rook F1, Knight D5, both sides missing moves. F5. Now white is winning here, so what? Black played G5 and offered a draw. And white took it? Why would you take it here? I do not fully understand FIDE Master Mighty's uh, point of taking the draw here. You know, if you want to go for your norms, you better be playing for wins. And in a position like this, it's still very dynamic. You could make a mistake, but you might as well keep pressing. The king is in the middle. Look, the king is in the middle. Like, even if you don't see something and you just take on e6, this is still just fine. Like, queen d3 and you're coming into the position. Bishop d3, I mean, they're both good moves here. So I would give yourself a chance at the norms. Hi, it's Yash. Welcome to the stream. I appreciate you jumping in. And if you have any questions or anything like that for me, I'm Coach Q. I'm a chess expert, and I love commentating. And I've done a lot of journalism in chess world, so I know a lot about all of these players. So if you have any questions about any of them, you can also go check out the interviews I did. I interviewed Mighty and Ostrovsky, so you'll check them out. They're on the 1000 GM YouTube. You can find them there. Let's go to the next game. We have the Grandmaster of the group. We have International Master Aaron Grabinski as white versus Grandmaster Batoon, and they just took a draw. Right at the very moment we came to the game, they just took a draw. We left it earlier, way back here. Let's see. Where were we here? Somewhere back in this position, where black has a small advantage. About here. Rook b1 is interesting. And then a nice move, knight a4. I like this one. Really nice. The point being, if you take, you would lose a rook. And you're threatening to go hopping into squares. What? This was an exciting end to the game. White plays bishop b4 here. And then now knight c3, which is a small mistake. It looks like AB was best here. But, I mean, I don't know. That would be hard to play. Maybe because the A pawns are now weak, you can just attack them. That could be part of it. Knight c3. Rook takes c3. Knight a3. It's Yash asks, which is better, queen or two rooks? Sure, I can definitely tell you that. Theoretically, in most positions, the two rooks are better than the queen. It just depends on how exposed each team's king is. Usually, if the side that can attack the king will have the advantage, even if it's the queen or the two rooks. So, and then there might be some other positional factors that are happening, like hanging pawns. You should look out for that. You shouldn't blindly just trade it, right? Potential checkmating attacks, back rank threats. So you have to really pay attention to see whether your queen will be strong in that type of position. And that's what's hard to understand. Generally, the two rooks are better, 10 points for 9 points. But sometimes the queen can be better because she's really effective at running around and checking the king. So it just depends on what's happening there. Okay, so then this game ended with queen c5, trades. So then a bunch of trades. It looks like black sacrificed the exchange for what reason, I don't know. Oh, I see. Oh, black didn't do it on purpose. They just blundered in time pressure. So black had about a minute on the clock here, and they blundered with queen c5. And that allows this temporary sacrifice. Rook takes d6, queen takes d6, and knight b5, forking and winning back all the material. And then going into an opposite colored bishop ending and offering a queen trade. And this endgame would be completely drawn and very easy to draw, by the way. So very nice game here. A good result from Grabinski, drawing Grandmaster Batoon. What other games do we have here? I think we've reviewed all of the Grandmasters section. Shall we go over to the International Masters section? Yeah, let's go back over to the international. Was that the international? I'm sorry, I mixed up the sections. Yeah, that was the International Masters section. Let's go back. There is a result. Andy Woodward has come back from losing last night with a nice win. So let's see the final moves. So we had this position where White's king is on the run. Oh yeah, no problem. It's Yash. You can ask me any questions anytime. I'm here for you. I'm here to help out 1000 GM and to draw some attention to this amazing event, plus help out any of my viewers. Rook F1. I'm a coach by trade. I teach kids chess every day, all day, and I do a lot of journalism. So I know a lot about the chess world. So any questions you want to ask, go ahead. So we have Rook F1, and this basically loses the queen because Rook H1 is threatening checkmate. So you can't just move the queen here. Oops, there goes the checkmate. And so Griffith tried to play Bishop E3, but Andy just takes it. And by the way, Andy is a 10-year-old international master elect. He just has to have his title certified. So he's 2486, very strong player. And yeah, now White is hopeless. They're down a rook. So Knight F5 and White resigns. They're down a full rook. Look, this is a nice, let's put it in blue. It's a nice prize that black team can have and take home, put it on their mantle. Or put the white one on their mantle. All right, so we have one more game going on here still. Let's see what happened since. Oops. It looks like White was winning. They sacked an exchange earlier, and exchange meaning a rook for a knight. And you can see that the knight is usually not as strong, but in this position, the pawns are really strong. White has 2 pawns as compensation for the exchange. So that's what they get in return. So knight b6. And then White just pushes the pawn and says, I don't care if you take it. They can't take it. Or they did take it. Takes. And then push the pawn again. Wow. What a nice sacrifice. So actually, it's Yash. This is actually really close to what you were talking about. So black could take the rook, and white can get a queen, and we have 2 rooks versus a queen. But in this position, it's 2 rooks versus a queen and a pawn, and this pawn is very weak. It's really hard to hold that pawn. But taking a look at the engine, it's actually pretty equal. White only has a tiny advantage. I think maybe my assessment that this pawn is hard to hold is not right. I mean, the rooks can just keep an eye on them. But instead, Grandmaster Michaelian went for this endgame, where he takes the rook on b6. And now we have a 4 versus 3 situation. 4 pawns for white, 3 pawns for black, in a rook endgame. And these positions are theoretically possible to win, but very, 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 very technical. And even the strongest grandmasters in the world can't always win these. So this will just depend on how good of defense Matavishan will play here. And yeah, I'm not exactly sure what will happen there. And welcome if you're just joining us. This is Expert Coach Q. I'm a chess expert, a journalist. At chess, I do everything in chess, and because I love it. And I'm here with the Hollywood Norm Classic, brought to you by 1000 GM, the 501c3. Please consider making a donation to them, especially if you have, extra money and you need a non-profit to give it to. They are doing a fantastic job offering these tournaments with very strong players. We just had a 10-year-old international master win a game earlier, bounce back from losing last round. So here we are in the Grandmasters section. There are 2 sections going on, International Master section and a Grandmaster section. So this is the last game in the Grandmaster section, and it could go on for this extra 20 minutes. We could see 20 more minutes of play here because this endgame is very technical and not easy to win. The engine is giving it very equal. A slight advantage for white. Maybe a computer engine versus the strongest computer engine would actually be able to win this. I'm not sure. How many pieces are on the board? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Too many pieces for a table base. Table base, if you don't know what it is a fully solved set of, if you put the pieces left in the game, on the board in any position and you gave it to the table base will tell you whether it's winning, losing, or drawing. And it's pretty incredible, actually. I believe we have that solved. Mathematicians, computer scientists have it solved up to, I think, 8 pieces now. I don't think you can do it with 9 or 10. So there's no table base for this position. So we'll see a nice, interesting technical endgame. And white has started by pushing the pawns. Did I do that, or was this played in the game? Hold on. One moment. No, those... Okay, yeah, those moves were played in the game. So... Yeah, any result is possible here still. Most likely result is a draw, but any result is still possible. I think if white can get this king to e4. No, I haven't watched it, Isyash. What happened? What happened in the Vidit versus Anish Giri death match? Was that them like dressed up in boxing gear? I saw something on Instagram with them dressed up in boxing gear. If that was, I wanna go watch it because that's hilarious. I need to go back and watch it. I appreciate that, Isyash. Vidit and Giri are two of my favorite players in the world, so I would love to watch that. I've just been working too much, making too much chess curriculum, doing too many interviews. I got a very nice interview with a Norm winner from the St. Louis event, FIDE master Ashrita, and she gave me a very nice interview. So go check that out on the 1000 GM YouTube. Beautiful game that she shows at the end, and just very nice conversation about her life. It's Yash. I definitely have to watch it. I actually did an interview a few years back with the founder of chess boxing, Ipa, I believe is his name, and he got me into one of the events for free, and I got to see some of the behind the scenes and had some fun recording and stuff like that. It's actually in my upcoming documentary, so it's really fun stuff. Here, okay, King F2 was played. Let's go back to the IM section because these games are heating up over here. Oh, he ended up winning in the last game. That's amazing. Oh, man. That is great. Let's see. This game is moving fast because we have 3 minutes versus 1 minute. Exciting finish here for round 5 of the International Master group. The International Master Norm group. So, FIDE Master... it's Yash. I mean, I haven't been streaming much these days. But 1000 GM contacted me to do the commentary. And I've done movies and TV, so this is my natural habitat. I love getting on here, and I actually streamed a lot way back. I streamed the 2013 World Championship, and people were like, "Who is this guy in the hat?" I was wearing a funny hat. So I've streamed for a long time, yes, but I don't stream as much regularly just because I'm working too much teaching, too much interviewing of people and all of that stuff. So I'm going to start a regular Friday night show, I believe. I'm trying to get that going for the future. So I appreciate that, Isyash. You can check my channel out, SoCalQ, on Twitch. That's my channel. I haven't done too much with it recently, but I am an affiliate, and somehow I could make money off of it, but it's a lot of work. Doing anything in life is a lot of work. Let's see. Yeah, I've had the amazing opportunity to interview some of the strongest players in the world. I've interviewed Kramnik, I've interviewed Sarawan, I've interviewed Judith Polgar, And then I've interviewed a lot of the players from this tournament. You can see some of those interviews on the YouTube here, 1000 GM YouTube. Check that out. And definitely consider giving a little bit to 1000 GM, even if it's just like $5. Just give them $5. That'll go a long way. They're trying to organize these tournaments. All of the norm seekers are playing for free, so it's just an amazing thing. Yeah, go follow me. It's sure. I'll put it in. I'll put my. I have to sign into the chat. Yeah, just SoCalQ. That's just type in SoCalQ. That's my Twitch handle. I'm actually multi-streaming on there right now. So if you go over there, you'll see the stream from over there too. So yeah, what's going on in this position now? Let's get back to the game because it's getting intense, getting very intense here with FIDE Master Gajalvik. It's very hard to say some of the names, but against Candidate Master Rushan Mahajan. Rushan is definitely winning here. What's the plan here? Is it just playing the king all the way to f6? But can white beat black there? That is a problem. Yeah, thank you, It's Yash, for any follow that you give and for just jumping in and chatting. I appreciate that. Yeah. And while you're following, go follow the Evergreen Chess channel. They are doing some fun stuff. That's more of lower brow, just kind of banter chess. But Evergreen Chess, they're doing a great job over there, making some fun videos for everybody and spreading the chess love. Let's see, what do we got here? Yeah, I mean, there's King E4 as well. Wait, what was just played? I missed it. Check. Why King F3? Why not King G4? I don't understand. Oh, I guess King G4. Okay, so if King G4, the rook can come in, and that'd be dangerous. So Black's king will get to F6, and I think this is over. Because then you can just sack here. You can just sack on E6, and I think that's winning. Because this majority is very strong. You have to do it the right time. You have to make sure that white can't just come take these. If white can take the H6 pawn after sacking, then it's bad. But King G7, King F, so Rook F5 to stop King F6, but King G6, Rook F8. Is this even a right time to sack? Take, and then come in. Rook D2 is also very logical, yeah. I like this move. It freezes the white king. The white king is now tied to guarding the G2 pawn. Yeah, Rook D2 was the very best move, according to Stockfish. So, yeah. And by the way, I'm always using my own brain to analyze here until I tell you. Until I say I'm looking at Stockfish. Because it's always much better to try to analyze the position yourself before you ask the computer. Because anybody can now. I could just read all the computer lines. But I wouldn't know what's going on either. So it's better to try to understand and then try to figure out, okay, was I accurate? Yeah, no problem, it's Yash. Thanks for joining. You said it's 3 a.m. in India. Well, I'm glad that you came by the show. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the kind words. I have very, very large amount of enthusiasm for chess. Chess is the greatest game ever invented and will continue to entertain, educate, and, build budding sportsmanship throughout the world. Okay, so what happened here? Rook D2, then the rook went back to E5. That doesn't make any sense. Black can just make slow progress here. Rook, King G6. So rook C2 to attack the C3 pawn. And this was just a very simple, nice plan by Rushan. Just come around and attack the pawn. I love it. I just got a very strange text about Nepomniachtchi, so I'm not sure what that's about, but sorry for the distraction. Yeah, so Rushan is attacking the c2 pawn, and now what is the way to make progress? So the knight comes back to guard it. That makes sense. Of course, they can guard it. What is the way to win here? So we have some moves over here. It looks like Batoon is pushing. So the last game in the Grandmasters section is what I switched to. It looks like Grandmaster Batoon is trying to push the pawns, but there's no real hope here. I think this is still dead drawn. Yeah. Okay, that game's going to end in a draw, so let's stick on this one. It's definitely the game of the tournament, or of the round, I mean. So this Rushan Mahajan pushing for an upset. The Austin May Ruyang Yi, Ruyang Yan game is still going, but it looks like Yan is now winning, and this pawn is pushing down the board. So very little time on the clock for everybody here, though, so anything can happen. Let's go back to this game. I think this game is very fascinating, super interesting. Rushan plays rook c1. I think it's a little tough to figure out how to make progress here for black. Oops. How does black make progress here? I don't really quite see the right idea. I mean, it's got to be something slow, right? It's like something super slow here. It's one of those positions where you have to be very careful technically, and the saying "hurry up and wait" is the key saying. So white plays king f2, which makes sense, because you don't want to go king g4. King g4 would allow the pawns to roll, check, and the pawns start rolling. Batoon's game is about to peter out to a draw. This ending is completely drawn. It's not easy at all to ever win this. The black king is in the right position. If the black king were far away, like somewhere all the way over on the queen side, there would be pretty much no way to win. I mean, no way to save that. You probably have a good winning chances for white here. But in this position with the king in the center, no real chance at a win. Okay, so I see. So after king f2, g4. And yeah, that makes sense. The pawns are going to start rolling. I mean, this is such a hard position to play with 2 minutes on the clock, though. It's so technical and so intense. I was thinking king h4, but king h4 doesn't make any sense. The rook can come around. Super technical position here. Really nice end to the round. I am fully enjoying this one. I'm not going to try too hard to analyze this position because it's super technical, and I'm a little too tired for this. But we will enjoy this position and really see it through to the end and see how white can try to defend and black is going to win. So white just gains a few seconds here. Rook g5 and back to e5. I don't fully understand why this is not a fortress, because it's so hard to figure out how to get these pawns rolling. Because you play h4, you lose the g5 pawn. Maybe it's something like rook g1 check and then rook h1. I mean, you could even just play rook h1 directly as well. The idea is to go rook h3, and then you can play h4. Here's the Batoon game again. Or, sorry, the Michaelian. I'm sorry, I got the game wrong. Michaelian versus Matavician. The Batoon game's already been over. Oh, wait, no, they're playing here still. That's already over. That's in the IM section. I apologize for mixing that up. There's 3 games left in the round. This one, one game left from the Grandmasters section and 2 games left for the IM section. We have this one with Mahajan and this one with Jan pressing. Oh, wow, both sides have gotten queens. Okay, let's check this out. This is cool. So, black promotes, white promotes, and black should be winning here. They have an extra exchange. Black king is weak, though. And does black have any checks here? No. But black's king is going to be able to hide on c5. And we'll just walk in this way. Or this way. Or this way. Plenty of ways this black king can hide, actually. And the white king is going to get attacked and have very little places to hide. Yeah, they're going to be in some trouble here. This is going to be some trouble for the black team. I'm sorry, for the white team. Very nice game. I mean, great games going on today. Really exciting. So, Michaelian is still trying to win this, but it's not looking like it's going to amount to much. Can't Michaelian just try to trade rooks here? Then we saw a very similar endgame to this yesterday. Maybe not, though. Maybe that's a bad idea. No, just keep the rooks. Just check. It's white's move, though. I'm sorry. So check. If king g3, can he try to walk this way? King g3, rook g1 check, king h4, rook h1 check. Yeah, no, there's no way to save to try to win this. That's going to end up in a draw. I'm 100% certain that will end up in a draw. And here, white is thinking and is basically out of moves. So let's go back to the Mahajan game. So Mahajan did play rook g1, king f2, and rook c1. Back to c1. So I think Mahajan's just trying to gain time because it's pretty hard to find the right plan here. Let's analyze it real quick. If back to g3, rook f1 is the right plan. Wow. Yeah, that makes the most sense because you keep the rook active on the f file and h4, h3 are coming very quickly. So I don't think he'll go back to g3 though because he can now play. Hold on, let me refresh. Can't quite go back, or he probably won't go back now. The computer is saying knight f6 is the best move here. Knight g3 is interesting, but can't black just take all of these pawns now? I mean, white is going to take these 2 pawns probably, but that doesn't look like it's working. Yeah, totally fine. And the king can just go back, or even to g5 here, which is crazy, but it actually works. Okay, yeah, that's exactly what... Oh, wait, hold on. Is that what happened in the game? 1 second. Refreshing. No. The knight went... Knight g3, king g6, knight e4. They're dancing. They're just dancing around. That's fun. That is some fun. Yeah, I might need to jump off here soon, but it looks like. Well, I'm very surprised that Rashawn didn't take the c3 pawn because it breaks the whole entire like fortress-ish type position that White is trying to build, and it just makes a simple idea of just going after these pawns and pushing. And it's really hard to hold the e6 pawn as well. But with 1 minute on the clock, it's not easy to play anything, so can't quite criticize it all from the stands, from the sidelines. Not really able to criticize in this type of position. Yeah, I might have to get going here soon. I have a class in about 30 minutes. All right, Stuart, thanks for stopping by. Yeah, we're going to end the stream pretty soon here anyway. Great games happening. Okay, so the Austin May Yan game is over with... No, it's not over. Thought it was over. Nope, not over. Still going. Okay, the final games in this round are still going on. King e5 and what? Did Black blunder there? No. Okay, they're saying that King e5 was played, but I don't think King e5 was ever played here because it's checkmated in one move. So I assume that White resigned after a move here, and the king was put on e5 as a way to show the computer that it was a win. Weird. Okay, we'll look back at that real quick, but yeah, Black won that game. No, draw. What? Now it shows draw. I'm so confused. Ha! Okay, we'll have to check in with that next round. Next round, I'll give you an update on that. Tonight's round, I'll be back at 7:30, around there. Did Mahajan just blunder? Oh. Why did he give up the g5 pawn? What? He didn't play g3 here? G3 is nice, because if you play g3 here, this check doesn't do much. Oh, wait, there's knight takes g3. Oh, but then you're taking check on c3. Oh, man, I'm a little bit disappointed because it looked like Mahajan was just going to cruise to a win here. Did Austin May and Ru Yang Yan really get a draw? That is super surprising. That was totally winning for Black. Black team was crushing there. I do not understand. That is super confusing. And now Mahajan, it looks like it's equal now. This could slip to worse if he's not careful. Maybe not though. Maybe it's just always a draw here now. He's still okay though. White's making some inaccurate moves. King f4 is inaccurate, and it just gives up the e6 pawn. I mean, this is what happens in speed contests, right? There's 1 minute left on each player's clock. They get 30 seconds every move, but it's still not much time in a classical game. Like this is really intense now. I'm not sure if White has a theoretical draw here or not. It's possible that they do, but I don't know. And things look a little dangerous for the Black King. But I guess knight f6 is never possible because of rook f2 checks, so that would win the knight. So maybe no real danger for the Black King. What does White play here? I guess this is still really hard for White to come up with practical moves. Even if the computer is saying, this is still very hard for White to come with practical moves. I mean, I feel like it's almost useless to look at a computer in this position because, well, it's really hard to figure out what to do about these pawns here. They could easily fall apart. And the Black King has some pressure on him, so it's a little bit challenging to figure out, like, if you're playing this position, making sure that you're not getting mated. Like, every move making sure you're not getting mated. Yeah, I think rook h3 is the best plan here. Because that would give a really strong practical chance at a win here. He did not play rook. He played rook h1. I don't see the point of that. Maybe he still wants to play h3, h2. That's the main point, probably. Yeah. Well, this is the last exciting game of the round. I believe this game was a draw already. Yeah. So from the Grandmasters section, Mikhailian and Matavician took a draw. We'll stay here on this game and then do a review once this one's over. I mean, this could go on for another 10 minutes, though. So we'll see. I'll stay on for another 10 minutes. I got to get ready for my class that I'm coaching. Coaching some young, upcoming chess players in about 25 minutes. But this is really interesting still. Very interesting still. So Max's time ticked almost all the way down to 5 seconds. That was really interesting. King f4. Yeah, I think the point of this position that I think Rushan identified is that it's very hard for White team to play the most accurate moves here. And humans aren't computers. They're going to miss things. And in this position, it's really hard to see how you can hold these queenside pawns. Like, I feel like those are all going to fall, and we'll see Black will win the game because those pawns just fall. Very exciting, though. So rook g6. Rook g6. Nice move. Very interesting. I didn't quite expect that, but it is a nice move. Because it prevents the king from coming back to attack the pawn. So now this pawn can advance. And Rushan is taking the other option, which is just to push the h-pawn. And yeah, that's very valid. I mean, it's a pass pawn. Pass pawns must be pushed. PPMBP. Pass pawns must be pushed. Okay, time got reset. 50 seconds to 1 minute and 30 seconds. It's ticking down close here. Wow. Anyone's game right now. King e3 was played. Will we see Rushan play rook f7, or will we see the pawn push? We see the pawn push. And White can take on b7, but then the pawn can promote. Rook b7, check. King h6. What does the white play there? Yeah, this is dead lost now. So it looks like Rushan is going to convert this endgame. And unless barring a big mistake, which is still possible, this is a, speed chess game now. They're playing 1 minute plus 30 seconds, basically. Pretty fun ending. I like it a lot. Okay, rook f7 was played. That's just fine. Wow. That works too. I mean, all roads lead to Rome here. There is no way to save the game for white. GG, good night, and we'll see you in the next game. Okay, just a little bit of a trick. Rook b6, and if you take, this pawn can promote. Oh, it can't. What? Is it even a trick? I didn't think they can take. You shouldn't, but just push the pawn. And just push the pawn. I'm just looking at it to make sure. Oh, and then you can just walk up and kick the knight. And there's nothing white can do. That's pretty simple. I like it a lot. Very nice. Alright, so this game is about ended. About over. What? What happened? No, that didn't happen. I think the game is over. I think white resigned because weird moves started happening on the board. Yeah. Yeah, the game is over. So Rushan wins. Let's take a look at the final standings for this after this round, after round 5. So let's go back and check out the Hollywood GM Classic. So 1000 GM, round 5 is over. And for the GM section, Victor Manavishin has 3.5, and Grandmaster Armin Mikhailian has 3.5. Some norm seekers are chasing them. Both Schlatenko and Woodward with 3 points, so 3 out of 5 plus 1. Good score so far. Grandmaster Sorkin has in the middle with 2.5, and on -1 we have Sethurman, Griffith, Stearman, and Segmed, and Kostya just very limping along. 2 draws in a row after saving last night's game. So taking up the final slot, let's go to the International Master round. If I can find it. So the International Masters section, Grabinski on top with 4 out of 5. Very, very nice. Very, very nice score right here. 4 out of 5. International Master Ostrovsky, 3.5 out of 5. Grabinski's on +3, by the way. That's pretty crazy. Ostrovsky on +2. Some norm seekers here. Jan and Mighty on even 2.5 points. Grandmaster Batoon on even also. Mahajan on... he's going to get the win here. It hasn't updated yet, but I'm pretty sure he won this game already. So he should have 1.5. 1 point here, so 3.5 out of 5. Oh, wow. He'll be up here. Oh, wow. That really puts him in second. So Rushan looks like he's in second because 3.5 out of 5. Great. Lee with on -1 and FM Gajulvik on -1, and same with FM May. And FM Singhania in some big trouble with half point out of 5. So let's wish Singhania a comeback second half with 4 rounds to go. So that's it right now with the Grandmaster and the International Master sections. So we will see you tonight. I'll be back on for round 6 tonight at 7 p.m., around 7 p.m., maybe 7:15, 7:30 depending upon how my life is going. But I'll be back tonight, so join me back tonight, and we'll have some fun analyzing these games. Brought to you by 1000 GM. Definitely consider giving a donation to them. They're the ones who make all of this possible, are making the norms free. The norm seekers get in these tournaments for free, and the Grandmasters get paid. So, and IMs as well for the IM section. So, just consider making a donation. At the very least, hit the subscribe button and give us a like on YouTube or on the Twitch video. So, I will see you